Oh goodness, it's a hot one today. Hi guys, it's Michelle with Garden Jargon, and I am here at the Ginger Creek Garden today. I'm going to go under this tree and pretend like it's air conditioned. No, it's not. It's definitely not. It is probably 87 degrees and 1,000% humidity today. I'm tasting my sweat. It's salty. It's in my eyeballs. It's hurting. And I have to apologize. On behalf of me and Garden Jargon, I have apologies for you. And it is because I have lacked in content, shooting content for like how-to videos. And that is because of a glorious blessing, as in the Batavia Community Garden. That fell upon us this spring to create a community garden to grow food for the Interfaith Food Pantry of Interfaith Food Pantry of Batavia. Hold on, my lens is dirty. And if that had not happened, I would have obviously shot way more content. But with having 3 gardens now, one at my house, one here at the church, and one at Batavia Community Garden, I shoot 3 videos every week on the garden tours to keep you guys in the know of what's happening in the gardens. And I have not done a lot of videos on how to do things this year, and I apologize for that. So next year I will kick that up a notch, because I have some pretty cool ideas, like this arch trellis that I did, and the panels that we use for the tomatoes here versus the ones we use at Batavia Community Garden. So there's a lot of good content. But since I was here today and I did something that some of my team members have asked me about, I wanted to show you what I do in my garden. Now, I have over 30 varieties of tomatoes growing in my garden this year. And the reason I like to grow those is because I'm trying to find the tomatoes that grow best in this climate. In Grow Zone 5B in the Chicagoland area, we are pretty drought-driven climate here. We don't get a lot of rain. And there are some tomatoes that are absolutely stunning and beautiful that I wish I could grow all the time. But seeing how they grow this year, I probably will not grow them in my garden next year because they split a lot and they have spots on them a lot. And that just might not be the tomato in my grow zone that works well. It's funny when I talk about tomatoes to people and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm growing 15 varieties. They're like, there's 15 varieties of tomatoes? There are hundreds and hundreds of varieties of tomatoes. You just have to find what works best in your climate. So I do have several growing, and then what I did in all 3 of my gardens, I planted 2 each of every one of these varieties of tomatoes, just in case we lost one to disease or a storm or something, then at least I still had that tomato. So I do have all of the varieties of tomatoes that I'm growing and producing fruit right now in one of or all of these gardens. Very, very blessed about that. Now, one thing that I like to not do in the springtime, although I love shopping for seeds, is I don't like to pay for seeds. And you can save your seeds. And I remember being a first-time gardener and how people would talk about heirlooms and F1 hybrids and blah, blah, blahs. And I was like, yeah, dude, too much for me. I don't need all that. I just want to buy a packet of seeds. And now that I've increased my memory in my brain and educated myself a little bit more, it is so simple and it is so cost effective that I don't have to buy a $4 seed packet for 28 varieties of tomatoes next year, because I can save the seeds. So I wanted to show you how I save the seeds to my tomatoes, so that if you ever are interested down the road, you will want to do it too. So I go on Amazon and I buy these. Let me see if I have one in my pocket. Is this one? Nope. I got 3 pockets. They're full of stuff. Garden stuff. Nope, don't have one. So let me turn my camera around and show you. So on Amazon, you can find these little mesh baggies. And they have a drawstring. This is a bad one to show you, because that one only had 1 drawstring. So I think that one was like just a mess up. Do you see that little drawstring baggie? People use them for little gift baggies, for wedding parties and stuff like that. And the package I bought was actually multiple colors, which is fine. I don't mind. Here's a red one here. And then there's a white one here on the Golden Jubilee. You can see it right there. So what I do is you have to look at the very top of your tomato for a blossom cluster. And I probably could have used this blossom cluster, but I see that this tomato, this flower here, was already open. So you want to find a blossom cluster when it only has blossoms that look like this, or blossoms that are not open. Let me see if I could get that to focus. I hope I can. Like that. See how that little blossom isn't open? Well, it's big. Don't mind my manicure. That one right there, and this one is closed, and the others are closed, but this one's open. So that is not a cluster you're going to want to use. This is the type of cluster you would want to use right here. See how all those little blossoms are closed? So what I normally do is I'll pinch off this leaf, and then I put that drawstring baggie over the top of this branch right here. As you can see on this one, see how it's on this arm right here? And then in that baggie is a whole blossom cluster. So what I do then is I tighten that drawstring bag on that little branch, and then every time my team comes here, I have them just jiggle it so the pollen can bounce around in there. And then after a week or so, you're going to see little tomatoes starting on those blossoms. And the second that that starts, that means that that cluster has probably been pollinated. And I take a scissor and I slice open the top here without damaging any of the cluster blossoms. And I do that because then it kind of just leaves a sleeve on this branch that tells me that when I harvest this tomato off of this cluster with this baggie on the branch, that's one that I know that this Golden Jubilee did not intermix with an Abe Lincoln that's down there by a honeybee. Like a honeybee gets on those pollens and gets some, you know, Golden Jubilee over here, and then some Abe Lincolns over here, and then it cross-pollinates, and then you'll get a mix of a tomato. But if I get that blossom cluster early enough where they have not even opened, you can put this baggie around it, jiggle it every time you come out to the garden. You see this one over here? Just kind of do this, wiggle it around, bounce it around in the wind, and then when that sets a fruit, I'm going to come back through and I'm going to cut the end of the bag off, just cut open a hole and leave that baggie right on that branch, which means that I know that that did not get crossed with any other tomato. That is how I save seeds, and I found that on YouTube. I did not invent that. I'm grateful for YouTube for educating me in doing everything that I've done, but that's how I do it. So I just wanted to share that with you today, because that's one thing that I can share with you today, is how to save your seeds, because nobody wants to spend a ton of money on seeds. Everybody loves seed shopping, but nobody wants to spend a ton of money on seeds. So get those little baggies. They're super cheap. I think it's like $6 for 20 of those bags, or $60 for 100 of them. I'm not sure. So I just wanted to share that with you today, how to do that. So I walked through my garden today, and I think I put about 15 blossom bags out, because you have to catch those blossoms when they're super tiny. You do not want them when they're bigger and when they're already open, because then you could probably have already a cross. And then I will shoot a video, and I think I already have a video on my YouTube channel, how to save the seeds, how to get them out of the tomato, how to ferment them on your counter for a couple days, and then dry them off into a sieve and some coffee filters on your counter. So a lot of these tomatoes came from seeds that I saved last year, and then I did buy some new heirloom seeds this year too, because I didn't have certain varieties. So I just want to thank you guys for watching and supporting my channel. I am tickled every day to be in a garden growing something and growing food for people in need, and it brings me such joy, and I'm blessed. So thank you. Have a great day.